Hello and welcome to LBG Gaming and welcome to another discussion type video. So today I wanted to ask about how many games we buy at full price. So this is because of the recent drama surrounding Days Gone. As you know, Days Gone is not getting a sequel, and instead Sony is remastering Last of Us again on PS5. And a lot of people, what they did was they started a petition on change.org or something, get a sequel. And I think it's got like 25,000 signatures or something, 15,000, maybe something like that. And there was also a recent interview with the writer and director of the game. And he basically said that if you love a game, you should buy it at full price. So there is like a long interview with him, and a lot of the gaming journalists, they tend to cherry pick quotes out of context and stuff. So I don't want to go into that, but I want to go into his own thread on Twitter. So this is the thread. I'll link it below if you want to read it. If you read it, it's mostly common sense, nothing unusual. But over here, what he says is, if you see here, if you don't like a game, if it's buggy, if you listen to reviewers' opinion, if you think games cost too much, more power to you. Just don't buy it on sale a year later, discover you love it, and then wonder why a sequel never gets made. Now, there's nothing as such wrong with it, but he's implying that if games don't get bought at full price, they don't get a sequel, which isn't wrong, but it's not our fault for not buying the game at full price. I'll buy the game when I want to play it, when I want to buy it at the price I feel comfortable at. So this sort of slight underhanded sort of shaming tactic of, well, you didn't buy the game at full price, that's why it's not getting a sequel. It's not my fault. And this is a very weird thing that the gaming industry tends to do. I've noticed this with others, game devs as well. I may make a separate video on this. Basically, I feel that the gamers are some of the worst treated consumers of all the industries. Now, let's take sports fans, for example. Let's say you're watching a Chelsea away game to Wolverhampton or something, and somebody gets sent off and Chelsea lose 5-1 or something. What happens later during the press conference? You'll notice the captain of Chelsea apologizing, the coach apologizing, the player who got sent off apologizing to the fans. They keep saying, oh, we let the fans down, we let the traveling supporters down, blah, 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 blah. How many times have you heard that? And this is not just about football, any sport. They all do the same thing. But the gaming industry, I've noticed, is very unusual in the fact that devs, publishers, journalists openly attack gamers. They have this tendency to blame the consumers. Now, of course, there are a lot of idiots in the gaming community as well who, do all sorts of stupid things. But something like this is just not our fault. This is Sony making the decision, like, we want to, make this much money from a certain game doesn't make that much money, and then they blame the consumer for not buying the game. Like, how does that work? Let me give you another example. I mentioned this the other day as well when I was making the video. Horizon Zero Dawn, this came to PC, big Sony game, one of the sort of games of the generation on the PS4, came to PC as a port. How much did they price it at? 1100 in India. Big, well-known Sony published game. Publisher Sony Mobile. Days Gone, same publisher, Sony, also was a PlayStation exclusive coming to PC. How much is this priced? 3,000. Now, what is going to happen? People are not going to buy it. I bought Horizon Zero Dawn at full price, even though it was a buggy mess. This one, it might be very well polished, might be really good in terms of performance, and I'll not buy it because it's 3 times more money. So at the end of the day, are they going to blame me for not buying it at 3,000? That doesn't make any sense. So that guy, his take is, the game, if it's not bought at full price, is not going to get a sequel because obviously it's not going to make money. That's such a narrow-minded view that it surprises me, because they sort of treat it like, the movies, they have that opening weekend box office takes and blah, blah, blah. This is something like that. I've noticed this with the big publishers. that when the game releases, they only sort of look at the pre-orders and the launch day sales. They don't seem to care 6 months later how the sales are doing, because they seem to literally give it away for free. Like, how many times have we seen games go for 90% off, or like in cheap bundles, or like very like $5 or less? Either don't give such big discounts or consider those prices as well. Like, I make my whole channel is about sales and deals and trying to get the best deals in gaming. And I can see when there are a lot of people interested in bundles or deals that I mentioned, because I can see like the number of people who have clicked and bought the bundles, etc., etc. There was this bundle from Humble with the Warner Brothers games, stuff like Injustice and First Shadow of Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor game. Those games were in the $1 tier. That bundle sold insanely well. So many people bought that bundle. Why? Because it's on sale. People want to buy it. And this idea that things should be bought at full price, and so yeah, I just don't understand this logic, because I've been seeing this quite a bit. A lot of people seem to think that gamers are entitled or something. Like, are we entitled when we expect the game to be working at launch, not to be buggy, not the servers to be crashing all the time, game not needing 10 patches to work properly, to be optimized so it runs on like the hardware that it says it will run on? Is this being entitled like not to have too many microtransactions? Also, this idea that games are $60, they're no longer $60. Who says they're $60? $60 is usually the base version, cut down version. They have season passes, they have DLCs. Call of Duty stuff is like $120. Look at the Ubisoft games, they have like 5 versions, up to 100 plus dollars in value. So this idea that, and they also have microtransactions and loot boxes in those $60 games, supposedly. So they constantly keep pushing this narrative that somehow we are to blame, because it's not how this works. I just find it weird, this naivety. It's not, they're not naive, they know what they're doing. But this idea that it's somehow the gamers and the people who are playing the games that are to blame, which is weird, because people who actually pirate the games, they don't give a shit. They just pirate the games and play them. I have to literally block the words piracy, pirate, some of the pirate sites in my comments tabs, because people keep saying, oh no, I'll not buy this game, I'll pirate it. I have to do that just to, because I try to promote this idea that people should buy the game, have Steam accounts, make your libraries, pay for the games, buy bundles. I'm trying to do my little that I can to sort of stop this piracy thing, because it hurts everyone in the long run. And then this guy comes along and says, well, if you're not buying the game at full price, then yeah, it's not going to get a sequel. It's not going to get a sequel because Sony thinks it didn't make enough money. Maybe it did not, according to Sony. How is that our fault? Maybe people were just tired of seeing zombies. They didn't want to see the zombies. Also, I don't know how this game ran on launch. If you have a PlayStation 4, if you bought the game at launch, can you let me know if this was like a well-optimized game at launch? Were there any issues with the game? And so on and so forth. So because, yeah, I've been burned a few times, and I'm not going to buy the game at full price. Like, for example, Horizon Zero Dawn. I bought that game at full price, pre-ordered it, buggy mess at launch. I'm never going to buy another Sony published game at launch because of that, because of my own personal experience. Plus this one, as I said, is priced 3 times more. So again, not going to buy it now. And when it's on sale, I'll buy it if it's at the right price. Also, I'll need to look at reviews. I'll see if the reviews mention if it's buggy or not. Let's say if there's a game that I really want and it's expensive, I'm not sure, and like the previous game by the same studio was buggy at launch. So what I'll do is I'll look at reviews and see if they have fixed those issues, if this game has a better launch. And if it is, I might consider it. Also, for example, Cyberpunk. I pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077. Buggy mess, unoptimized, all those problems, we all know that. I pre-ordered Cyberpunk based on CD Projekt Red's track record. previous games. Witcher 3 masterpiece. So I put my trust in them based on the Witcher 3 and bought Cyberpunk. Now that trust is gone. So the next game they make, I'll not pre-order it. I'll wait, I'll see, I'll check reviews, and depending on what game it is and if it's good or not, I may buy it soon after launch or maybe once it's on sale. So anyway, just wanted to share my opinions on this because it does come across as very naive and childish sometimes when the devs. There've also been like the Apex devs who've been making some weird Twitter rants against the player base sometimes, which is weird to me because it seems like they forget the simple business thing. Like if you make something good, people will buy it and then they'll be excited for the next item that you make, whatever it is. If you make something bad, people will not do that. But they somehow feel like we should be buying and spending more money, etc., etc. So anyway, let me know what you think about this. Like, I don't know about this game. I was curious, I was interested. As I said in my last video, I would like to try this open world game. This guy has got a bike, seems interesting. But yeah, price is not reasonable in my opinion. And I'll not buy it at this price. I'll buy it at sale. If it doesn't get a sequel, is it my fault? Really?